have one. So what I have here behind me are some of the items that you're going to want to have with you when you're riding, in case you do have a flat tire. So I've pulled all these things out of the little carrying case that I have on my bike. You know, if you don't have that, if you've got it, you know, in your jersey pocket somewhere, it's nice to have a little case. But basically, it's just a few really basic items. So the first thing you're going to need, of course, is a tube. And this one, I've taken it out of the package, and it's in this little baggie here. And the reason that I like to do that is because I like to coat it. You can see it has this little bit of a white powder on it. It's actually just a baby powder that I like to use. This particular one happens to be Johnson's baby powder. It could be any powder. Powder doesn't really matter, but the idea with this is that it reduces the friction and just helps you get it into the carcass a little bit easier, because that can be tricky at times. So, but we'll get into the actual changing in a minute here. I want to show you a couple other things. So I also have gloves. You know, whether they're necessary or not is up for debate, but I like to have them, especially if you're going to do something on the back of the bike, where you might have to pull on the chain. You know, then your hands stay clean. It doesn't get all over your handlebars and things like that. So important to me to have these, and they really don't take up a lot of space in your little kit. So I like to have them. Other essentials are going to be little tire levers. These little plastic guys just help pop the bead. They're depending, they may not be an essential piece, but again, they, like the gloves, they don't take up much space, so you know, why not have them? It just makes things easier. The other thing that you're going to need is you're going to need a way to get air into the tire, and obviously, you know, you're not going to bring your pump with you, so you've got your inflator, and I think most people are probably familiar with this, with these. I'll just quickly go through how to use it. So you've got a CO2 cartridge, it's compressed gas inside here. The first thing you'll do is you'll take the head of the inflator and you'll just thread it in like this. I won't go all the way in because it'll puncture it. And then at that point the gas is in the cylinder. You're going to want to thread this end onto your valve stem over here. It's just here after opening it, of course. So you open it up, which I can't do from this angle, and thread it on there. And I'll go through that more in a minute here. Other important part is that the valve is closed, and then once you've got the unit actually all set up on there, you're going to open this up, and then gas will come into the tire, which is what you want. But it's going to come in really fast, so there's a couple of things that you need to be aware of when we get into the actual changing of the tire, which I think we'll do right now. Okay, so the first thing you do after you've come to a controlled stop with your bike and you have your flat tire is you want to be able to undo your brake, which is this lever right here. Opens up, spans the caliper, if you're using this style of brake, allows the wheel to pass over it. So that's number one. Okay, once you got that open, you need to get the wheel off. So you've got this quick release lever here. It's going to come forward. These levers, just while we're here, as a tip, they should always be facing backwards, and the rationale behind that is that if they're facing forwards or up, they could be snagged on something and come open, so you always want to have them facing backwards. To get the wheel off, we'll push it forward, and it's not going to come off right away, right? So probably about 1, 2, 3, maybe 8 is going to give you enough that it's going to clear the fork. Okay, so now it's free. We can just set it over there. So once you get your wheel off, the first thing you want to do is open your valve all the way up and let the air out, if there is any left, and just kind of go around it, give it a little bit of a pinch here, just to break the bead. And next thing you're going to do is find the opposite side from the valve stem, which is up here. And here's where the levers come in. So it's possible to do this without levers, but we'll show with the levers to begin with. So you're just going to take it, you're going to slip the lever in. Again, we're on the opposite side from the valve stem. And you'll just maybe, you just go in far enough to grab underneath the edge of the lip there. Then you're going to go, about 6 or 8 inches from there. And you're going to flip with this side. And now you see what we've done. We've just sort of opened it up here. At this stage, most tires are going to be really easy to get out. You can get it out with your hand, or you can actually take this lever and just run it the length like this all the way along until you get one side off. Of course, there's no reason to take the other side off, because all we're doing in this scenario is we're after the tube. We're going to change the tube. So we come back over to the valve stem side. It's right here. We're just going to pull the valve stem out, and then the tube just comes out that easy. There's very little to it. If you're, if this is a racing situation, if you're in a triathlon race, you may not care to look at what the reason for the puncture was. You might just toss it aside and start changing the tire. If you're not, if you're just out for a ride, you might want to know why it punctured in the first place. So there's various reasons that this can happen. Sometimes it could be the tape that's inside here is worn out, and you can actually get punctures from the nipples of the spokes here where the little depressions are. But as long as your tape's in good shape, maybe you've just had it, it's been pinched, or maybe there's a puncture, you might want to know that. If your carcass is compromised, you would want to know that. But we'll assume that it's just a flat. We don't necessarily need to know why, so we're going to take our new tube, and you can see I have, the talcs on there, right? So they're going to come with, this tube didn't have this keeper nut on here, but the new tube does. So you want to take that off, set it aside. Open up your valve, and you'll notice, like, coming out of the package, it has absolutely no structure to it. It's flat, right, like a noodle, and that really doesn't help you get it into the wheel. So good thing to do is just to put just a little bit of air in it so that it has a little bit of structure. And then the way to go about putting this back in is completely the reverse of how it came out. So you need to find where the hole for your valve stem is first. You want to start from that point, and you want to just go around the tire like this, tucking it in. Don't worry so much about the actual tire carcass right now. All we're wanting to do is feed this tube into the tire over the lip on the wheel until you get all the way around. So I'm just working it with my fingers here. Once you get around, again, start from the opposite side of the valve stem, and you're just going to start by hand, just pinching it around like this, pinching it on. Okay, just like that. And then you can see it's starting to get a little more difficult. I probably could just force this on, but we'll use the levers just to show. You know, if you don't have the strength, or maybe the tires a really tight fit, the fits can be different on different tires. It's really just a matter of, you know, that popped right in. So now that we got that, the other thing we want to do is, rather than just inflating it immediately, want to just take just a couple of minutes to give it a look over and make sure that you actually did get the tube inside and that there's nothing sort of spilling out the edge, that it all looks good. And it does to me. So if this was, you know, if we weren't in my living room right now and we were in the race, I would say we're good to thread on our inflator. So that would have been threaded on. You know, the valve is open. I would actually wait to put that keeper nut on, and I would inflate first. So, you know, basically imagining that is threaded in, you would thread that all the way and actually back seat it, meaning that it's made full contact with the back of the threads like that. It's on, great. And now you would open it up and whoosh, the tire's inflated and you're good to go. So we'll just actually just pump it, because of course you guys know it would be really kind of wasteful to just do an inflator willy-nilly. So we'll, all right, so if you have the pump with you, you're gonna just make sure the valve's open, fit the pump on like that, and then you'll need to lock it like that, and then away we go.